Hi, I'm Coach Colette, and I'm founder of InStep Consulting, and I have a question for you. So how many of you have ever had a disagreement with a coworker? Yeah, right? You thought she was going to do it, he thought you were going to do it, right? And how long did it take to get back to normal after that disagreement? A day, a week, a month? You're still not there? So the question is, what did that unresolved conflict cost your organization? So in 2008, it cost us in the US $359 billion to deal with workplace conflict. And we're dealing with this in a VUCA world, not Vulcan, right? Sorry, I can't do my Star Trek thing. But in a VUCA, so there's lots of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, right? So it makes it all tough for organizations and for those of us that are in HR. And then if you're a leader of an organization, right, there's this push-pull of we want to grow, we want to expand, we want to innovate. But we've got to keep costs down, right? And we're looking at this in terms of our organizations. We're looking at it also in terms of our planet, right? Growth at all costs, it's at the expense of our natural resources. Not to mention, the workplace is changing, right? The relationship with employees is changing. What do we want? They want more input. They want more collaboration. They want to feel purpose. They want more learning, right? So all of these things are happening at the same time. So Gallup does these surveys, right? So nearly 70% of people aren't engaged at work, right? And we know with demographic shifts that it's important to know that millennials are the least engaged because in just 4 years, they're going to be the largest part of the workforce. So we know all this, right? But so we know that creating an empowering culture, as much as the slide looks really cool, right? It's more than just slides, it's more than just free beer, it's more than just Uber rides, right? We need to do things to create an empowering culture, right? It means having a vision, it means having a mission that inspires your team, that gets people on the bus. They want to do great things. So I'm going to share with you some tips on how to do that. But at first, this is DisruptHR, right? So I have to leave you with my disruptive thought. You ready? Size doesn't matter. So whether you're a 2-person startup or a 20,000 global organization, you have a company culture. There's no such thing as I'll create a culture after I scale, right? So your culture is with you from the beginning. It starts in all of your actions. It starts in all of your choices. It comes through all of your leaders, right? The people build the business. So we need to be able to build and engage the people. So how do we create an empowering culture? One, we need to be intentional so we don't leave culture to chance, right? It's not just going to happen by accident. We're not going to just wave a magic wand and poof, we've got an empowering culture. We need to set in the intention and actions that will follow that intention. Two, we need to recognize that our employees, we all have different priorities. Employees, leaders, people, we're all different. And typically those priorities fall into 4 different main areas that I'm going to share with you. So you can be thinking about it, how you can manage and communicate to these priorities. So time, the people on your team that are always saying, is it done yet? They're interrupting you before you finish your thought because time and efficiency are most important to them. So people that are driven by time. The second are the people that may ask questions like, does this make sense? Do we have all the parameters? Because process and logic are very important to them, right? Things need to follow a certain order. We need to do step A, then step B, and then step C, right? Thinking of people in your office, in your world that think like that. The third is intuition. You know, the people that are just like, I've got a gut feeling about this. We should do it this way, right? They just feel inspired and they go, right? So those are people for whom intuition is really most important. They're inspired by their gut instinct. And lastly, there are the people on your team that are prioritizing around what's going on with the team. So the people like before you order lunch, like, are we sure that everybody, who's gluten-free, right? We need to make sure that we accommodate for everyone, right? And they are driven by relationships, right? So we manage to communicate to priorities. 3, we have to be adaptive, right? So that was an aspect of managing to different priorities. The other piece is you don't take someone's rule book and slap it onto your organization, right? You have to be able to adapt to change, implementing things that go with your culture. 4, it's already been said, getting feedback, right? And this sense of getting feedback is proactively seeking it, asking the questions, listening to the answers, and being appreciative of the feedback, right? Because in reality, the worst thing is not to know when you're not doing the right thing. And lastly, this is my favorite, being more mindful in business, right? So from an HR culture standpoint, that means giving benefits that are really relevant to employees, looking at how we're paying employees. Is it fair? Are we doing things in a way that makes sense? So again, I'm Coach Colette from InStep Consulting. Don't roll the dice, don't leave culture to chance, and size doesn't matter.